And now, episode 6. Episode 5 concluded this way, where all of a sudden, that as she's being pulled out of the hole, a large silhouette figure with a massive beast is the one and only Bigfoot. Oh, God, she thinks to herself, Bigfoot, what's going to happen to me now? And now, it continues. His eyes light up as he looms directly at her as the masked timeout superhero. She notes at first that he doesn't seem to recognize her, but seemed irritably drawn to her. He places her on the ground by his feet. That seems similar to when King Kong placed Fay Ray at the feet after rescuing her from the giant lizards. Like King Kong in the movies, Bailey's eyes are completely focused on her. Bigfoot's eyes are completely focused on her, as Bailey seems to be frozen in fear. Suddenly, the area is again bombarded with explosions on the ground, all around them as it begins to shake. Bigfoot is again startled and lets out a roar as he defiantly shakes his fist at those would-be attackers. Bailey gets to her feet quickly and begins to run. But before she can start her sprint as timeout, Bigfoot reaches out effortlessly, grabs her by her hair, and pulls her to him. The pain is so excruciating, she becomes lightheaded and passes out. Now, Chapter 5. Chapter 5 is entitled, look at this, folks. What again? They're reading. What again? Bailey is again wakened with the sounds of shouting again, but different kinds of shouting altogether. A voice she knows is slamming her ears strikingly. Let her go! Let her go now! Demands the voice with a recognizable familiarity. Bailey slowly regains her consciousness as those words echo again through her mind. She hears the words again, followed by the low-sounding growl from the creature. As both images come into focus, she recognizes the voice of her 60-year-old childhood friend Joelle. Her voice continues to shrill with threats as she boldly points her six-shooter with two shaky hands to Bigfoot and demanding him to let her go. Bailey's head is still swimming as she takes note of a large, hairy arm embracing her chest and waist and holding her very close to him. She can smell the animal's fear and feels the pounding of its frightened heart overshadowing her own. Bailey recognizes there is little she can do as the powerful arms of Bigfoot continue to shield her from this rambunctious friend of Bailey, thinking he is somehow protecting her. I'm not kidding, Kong. Drop her or I'm going to drop you, flames Joelle with both indignation and fear. Her hands tighten, knuckles whiten as the shakiness of the gun begins to be subdued with soberness. Joelle is focused and intent to make the shot good. Bailey, are you okay? Squalls her friend for over 50 years. Joelle remains intent and focused as she quivers with both anxiety and horror, but not moving the gun off her target. Joelle, what are you doing? Bellows Bailey in terror. Don't worry, hon. We're going to get you out of this, utters Bailey with auspicious determination and gently sprinkled with a terror of her own. Bigfoot is fuming with both irritation, anger, and fear as Bailey can feel the animal's anxiety gripping her tightly. She looks past Joelle and can see the house and the van behind her where John and Dean brought her with police cars surrounding the house and the white cargo van being examined by forensic officers. She is stricken with austerity as the yellow tape of the crime scene is generously stretched out from every corner in sight. She notes that they are in a wooded area down the road and across the street. "What's going on?" asked Bailey, almost forgetting for 1 second of her own predicament. Joelle replies with nervous tension and visible anxiety. I don't know, hon. I followed you guys on my motor scooter when you first left with those two men. I didn't trust them, so I hid over here and waited. Then these cars started showing up all along with the police, and I feared the worst. I was coming back to my scooter when I found you and this big monkey standing in front of me." Joelle starts to tear up as her voice shrinks to a soft, higher pitch whine. "I'm scared, Bailey. I don't know what I'm supposed to do." Bailey replies to her, "I know. I'm scared too. Believe me." "Hey!" shouts a man's voice on the other side of the street. "What are you guys doing over there? Identify yourselves." All of a sudden, something happens. The sudden sound of the man's voice startles both Joelle and Bigfoot as the gun in her hand goes off and the giant animal lets out an ear-splitting howl. The beast is struck in the shoulder just above Bailey's head. Joelle immediately drops the smoking gun in horror, as she did not intend to do so, and begins to scream completely out of control. She had never really fired her pistol before and found it very unsettling. There's the pictures of Bailey shooting and the Bigfoot being targeted and hit. "Oh my God," is the last word Bailey hears before everything gets hazy and then goes dark. Bailey next wakes up to the sound of cotton balls silently tapping her ears. White noise, total silence. Not even the sounds of birds or anything for the first few seconds. Was this all a dream? Did it really happen? She wasn't sure. "Where am I?" she thinks to herself as she slowly sits up and carefully holds her head as if her ears were about to pop from a higher elevation. "Oh, I'm back in Notlam." The silence of her surroundings is again interrupted with what reminded her of a subdued, whimpering child after a long cry. She sits up securely and looks to the direction of the sound. She sees not a small child, but Bigfoot himself sitting on the ground and rested against a big rock. His bloody hand pressed against his own left shoulder makes her instinctively sad for the creature. His eyes sharpen and barred down a warning to her not to move. Something has now happened to this behemoth ape-like man. Something is very different. This animal is not the same. The longer it keeps staring at her, Bigfoot seems to become angry at her. It was as if the creature blamed her for what had happened and was contemplating revenge. Bailey knew from experience that any animal can be dangerous, especially when it is cornered and wounded. She hopes this Bigfoot creature was the exception of the rule, but she doubted it. She quickly looked over the area hoping to find an escape. She sees no John or Jane or anybody else, and her fears begin to compound. Bailey remembers how days in Notlam could have passed with her minutes back on Earth moments ago, and wonders if this is the case here. The fact of the matter was that she did not know how much time had passed when she was on Earth with Bigfoot since he was unconscious. How long did all this take? How much time did pass on Earth before Joelle stumbled upon her and they had that confrontation? She didn't know. For all she knew, she could have been unconscious for a good 30 to 60 minutes or even longer. That by itself was not problematic on Earth, but Notland was another matter. She grimaced at this notion that since 1 hour Earth time is equivalent to 30 days here on Notland, John and Dean may be long gone by now, and she is completely on her own. Her thoughts interrupted by a sudden chill. She sees that her superhero uniform has suffered even more damage, with the missing clock emblem was originally positioned and revealed even more cleavage that she was accustomed to display. While she is happy to be young again and have the same knockout body she had as a kid, she is still a bit self-conscious about her size, and for this brief moment, she was glad that no one was here to see so much of her. She looks over at Bigfoot and sees that he has calmed down a bit and seems to be preoccupied with his wounded shoulder. Bailey contemplates her next move. She's certain of one thing. She has to get away from Bigfoot. But how? Then she remembers how the timeout superhero could freeze time for 5 seconds and immobilize everything around her. When she uses that power, everybody or everything stops and become like stone statues for 5 seconds. Only when time resumes, her power will need a minute or so to recharge itself. At least that's how it was when we were all playing games here on Notland. She can only assume that since she has the suit on, that she still has the powers of timeout. She formulates a plan in her mind and begins to concentrate on engaging the Matrix. The moment the system was turned on, cold, prickly fingers pinches the cheeks of her face just under the flaps of her mask, indicating that the system was beginning to work. She stands up quickly and prepares to sprint away from the creature, not knowing exactly where she was going. Her first step betrays her as she's stricken with excruciating pain and tumbles helplessly to the ground. She has a cramp. This was something she would get from time to time when she had not properly warmed up before running on Earth. She moves back to her former position when time resumes again. She moves back to her former position when time again resumes. Bigfoot has no reaction and seemingly is unaware of her attempt to flee. Bailey knows when she finally does make the breakaway, it will appear that she had just disappeared, and she is not sure what effect this will have on the animal. As the seconds pass and the Matrix begins to recharge and reset, she begins to formulate a new plan. Bailey will need to move fast on one leg somehow. Maybe she'll have to hop. That was going to be difficult. She then laughed to herself at how often, when on Earth, she would tease her daughter Marie about some of their early morning jogs when Marie was less than whole-souled about getting out of bed and joining her. She would always tell her to hop to it, girl. We got to get going. Now it was her time. Was going to have to literally hop to it. She sees a rock formation uphill just over Bigfoot's shoulder and thinks that if she can make it up there and hide, it just might spook him and he might just run off. That was the plan, and time was ticking by. Now her turn starts the countdown. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, time freezes. She again stands up and quickly hops to the designation. And then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time resumes. Bailey finds herself about 5 feet from where she wanted to be and quickly dives forward, pulls herself under a little rock cover, and hopes Bigfoot was still preoccupied by his wound. Bailey knows she will have to wait for another 60 seconds before she can try again. She listens carefully and measures her breath carefully as the long, slow seconds tick by. Bailey hears nothing but her own measured breaths. Her hands begin to shake slightly, and she prays for strength as she reflects on the past moment how she got here. Her old friend Joelle coming to her rescue with a little 6-shooter and inadvertently sending her back to Nottingham for a second time. She thinks about John and Dean and what may have happened to them and wonders if she'll ever see them again or see anybody again. Time ticks by as Bailey takes the second peek up the mountain and sees another rock formation where she thinks that she can make it in her 5 seconds of time frozen. She gets ready as her internal clock begins to count. 4, 3, 2, 1. Time freezes. She stands up quickly and begins to hop. The cramp in her leg has lessened a bit, but she does not yet trust it completely to put her full weight on it. She makes a good progress until she hits some loose rocks and proceeds to fall. Time resumes. Small rocks are discharged and proceed to race each other down the hill right at Bigfoot. And there's a picture there where Bigfoot is looking for her and where she is hiding behind the rock in the lower picture. She hears the sound of Bigfoot getting to his feet and growling angrily. She's been discovered. Bailey hurriedly gets to her feet and secures herself behind a rock. Her heart pounds emphatically in hopes that she has not been seen. She hears him becoming irate and incensed as she holds her breath nervously and hopes he's not coming her way. Then it becomes strangely quiet. Bailey exhales slowly with measured breaths and moves to the edge of her hiding space and carefully peers over her shoulder to the edge of the jagged rock, as this picture shows. She sees dust in the air and still lingering and moving in slow motion, much like smoke from an early morning campfire. She's tempted to look even farther to see if he is actually gone, but fears she may end up being seen. How many times had she played hide-and-go-seek with her twin boys and her daughter all the years when they were small? How many times was she caught by them when she couldn't help herself to take a short peek and only to be seen by them? Too many times. With kids, it was all fun and games. But this was something much different. This was no game. This was potentially life-threatening. Bailey waited and carefully, fighting every inch of her instinct to take a look. She still has a chance to make it to the rocks above her and find a better hiding spot. She would have to wait until her time-freezing power was fully charged and she could make the freeze. The sound of the beast moved fearlessly close to her as minutes turned to seconds and then seemingly changed to hours. Finally, 3, 2, 1, time freezes. She quickly sprints up the hill to an area where she imagines would be a good cover. She's disappointed in reaching that spot at the precipice before time resumes and finds that there's nothing there she can use. While the white nose disappeared in her head, she knew she was vulnerable. So she leaped forward to the spot just below her feet, embracing the dusty rock surface and again holding her literal breath as if that would help. She doesn't look or even begin to breathe, fearing discovery. Bailey knows this could hold her breath a while, but not indefinitely. Time resumes. Seconds pass with no sounds from the beast. She exhales slowly and softly and prepares again for another time freeze jump. She looks around carefully for another spot to move. Perhaps an easier path that offers even greater invisibility and cover. She's disappointed in seeing that she's left with her own original destination. She is concerned by not only the hill getting higher, but also the ground seems to be littered with more small pebbles and rocks that would impede her progress. But really, what choice did she have? So now Bailey's getting ready to do something. What's she going to do? Next episode. Stay tuned and be sure, don't forget to subscribe and everything like that, because we count on that. And stay in touch, because this is a very outstanding book that I think you'll find out as the time goes on unpredictable and entertaining. At least I think so.